seeing is believing. Like rooms like these, we need to include more and more people. And I think that's why, Lydia, it's so important to include more and more people who are actually risk approvers, investment decision makers, because they don't really know enough about this stuff. Zarak, Pasha, I head carbon finance at Standard Chartered Bank. Now sitting here today, I feel really optimistic that carbon is financeable. We're seeing the equity investors coming in, we're seeing the insurance sector come in, we're seeing the banks come in, and it's only going to get better from here.
Super quickly, Henrietta Moon, co-founder, CEO of Carbo. We're both a technology developer as well as a project developer. My hot take is that mandating perfection is the enemy of action. I just was at another event earlier this week where we were discussing how to get companies to do voluntary climate action. It's not just the global headwinds. We actually also shot ourselves in the foot by kind of slamming people for taking action. There's some kind of a balance of sort of mandating rules and restrictions and all that kind of stuff. But then if it gets too far, people are afraid to take action. And I think that's what's crippled companies right now from taking voluntary action. So let's improve everything as we go along, but let's also do stuff that's mandatory for the climate.
I'm Oliver. I'm one of the co-founders of Cula. At CRBC, I'm one of the few people in the company that don't know how to code. Basically what we saw is like when you go to a site, typically how data is collected, it's pen and paper. Pen and paper goes to Excel goes to the MOE system, and the MOE system sends to a standard. I think that's something that we've been wanting to change and have been changing in the past, to really focus on integrating into machinery, basically trying to automate as much as possible and basically get the biochar industry to the next stage.
Julien and I work at Puro.earth. We're a standard registry. What you can see, right? So, well, sorry to say, I'll send you the real picture when I find it again. But it was something like that, really. You know, you had on one side of the street trees that had been, and they had used the biochar 5 years ago. And you had one side of the street where the trees were a lot more fluffy and a lot cooler. And on the other side, they appeared a bit more dry. We need more of those pictures. We need more of those, practical, here is what happened with my biochar. We monitor in the registry the time between the issuance of a carbon credit and the times it is transferred for the first time. And we do the same between the time when it is issued and the time it is retired. We've monitored that over the past 4 or 5 years, which is when the methodology from Puro started. Those delays have reduced significantly, 300 days from issuance to retirement for biochar 4 years ago to 60, 70 days now.
I'm always curious about how biochar works. Professor Colin Snape.
Okay, so Lydia, to say I've got 2 minutes to introduce biochar. Here is a sample. And biochar is essentially produced in exactly the same way as charcoal, where you're heating material up essentially in the absence of air. In terms of carbon sequestration, we heat a feedstock up, is roughly half the carbon ends up here in the biochar. The other half comes off as volatile material, which can be oil, it can be gas. Depending on feedstock, you have some energy available for export. So that
one of the reasons we decided to sponsor this event was because of Lydia. Lydia's done some amazing work. I've attended her events before. Is just really excited on the collaborative nature of it. I've got a test here that I wanted to do. It's a bit reminiscent of what we do in the Philippines, but the real benefit that we've seen in biochar is its odor absorption capabilities. One of the things that we do in the Philippines is we apply our biochar, we give it to poultry farm owners that have like massive fly infestation issues in the Philippines because they've got a lot of chicken litter just lying around. We mix biochar with it. It's very efficacious, eliminates the fly infestation by 90%, largely due to the odor absorption capabilities.
Theoretically, you could reach a point where you sell the biochar to the growers, you make money, put that into your MRV, put that into your project. That's the best kind of financing is no financing.
How can policy clarity accelerate private capital? I don't know. This might sound a bit ironic coming from the government, but I think government is slow. We need to innovate around the government because if we wait for the government to do something, it will take too long.